Well, hello, readers. Trisha Goyer here, and I am so excited to share another super fun book with a awesome author. So Jen Turano is here, and we are going to be talking about her book, A Match in the Making. But first of all, welcome, Jen. I am so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. Avid Readers is one of my favorite sites
Oh,
over the time, and I'm so stoked to be here today.
I am so glad you're here, and we're going to have so much fun because your book is so much fun. But before we get into the book, why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, I'm going to take these off because the glare is killing me, so I can't actually see anything right now. So I live outside of Denver, Colorado. I've been here for about 26 years, but I'm originally from a small town in Ohio, St. Clairsville, Ohio. It's right across the border from Wheeling, West Virginia. I went to college at the University of Akron, and I did not major in English. I majored in fashion. Um,
Ooh.
yes, because when I was 16, I got my first job. The day I turned 16, I went out to the mall. I secured myself a job. It was right around Thanksgiving. And they put me in on Black Friday, was my first day. They put me in the cosmetic department. 16 years old, all the products are in drawers. I had no idea what I was doing.
Oh, wow.
And there was a gift with purchase with Clinique. So there were customers everywhere. And they had a special coupon. And for some reason, I fell in love with department stores and retail in general. And so I worked in department stores all the way up until college. Well, in the summer, I was a lifeguard. But and then I went into this administrator's office, and they asked what I wanted to do, and they had a fashion program. So I came out and I told my parents I'm majoring in fashion. They were thinking medicine. They were quite shocked.
I love that.
When I came out. But yeah, so I worked in retail for years. I worked in a buying office, and then I was a manager of a department store, one of those really cool old-fashioned department stores. And that is why you find so many department stores in a lot of my books, is because I just have this love of them. And then when I had my son, I decided to put my career aside for a while and be a stay-at-home mom. And I started writing when he was in third grade because we got through this series about this bird, and it was horrible. And it was so bad. So I got to the end of book 6, and I told him it was the end of the series, and I might have fibbed because there was like 12 more, and I just couldn't do it. And he said, Mom, those stories you used to tell me when I was little to keep me in the jogger stroller, those were more interesting. We should write our own book. And so we did. It was called Fanglers. It was super fun, never went anywhere, and I never considered getting published, but I really liked using my brain again. And so I started experimenting with different genres, middle grade first, then I tried young adult, and I tried to learn all I could about the publishing industry, and I would send out query letters. And then I went to the young adult. I think I did like a contemporary romance. Then I did women's fiction, and I was getting responses back from agents. But like my big thing was, and they would tell me everything I was doing wrong, and wow, was I doing a lot wrong. And but I was like, everybody seems to want to be my friend, but no one wants to take me to the prom. So, but when I started writing historical romance, that's when I started getting a lot of interest. And so I figured out that was my sweet spot. And then it took me 5 years and 7 manuscripts before I landed an agent. And then she sold my first book to Bethany House, and I've been with them ever since.
I love it. So what number book is this that you've had?
So that is number 17th of full-length novels, and then I have 3 novellas. So technically number 20. According to Mary Keneally, you can count your novellas.
Totally count your novellas. You're a story. Yeah.
Yeah, so number 20. There we go.
I love it. Okay. So I was telling my husband, it reminds me of just all the conversations and all of, he's available and stuff of like the Pride and Prejudice, like those type of such fun. You see all this cast of characters. There's those that are good and those that are not good. And then you have the eligible bachelor, and then you have the wise, witty person who, is not after the guy, but ends up, of course, being the most appealing. And that is Gwendolyn, who is just lovely. So this is my first question when I was reading this. I'm thinking, do you have these conversations in your head all the time? Like all these conversations, because there's this person talking and that person talking, and it's like amazing to hear so many unique voices and characters. I'm like, her head just must be full of just all these conversations all the time.
They are. Yeah, the characters talk to me all the time, but I spend a lot of time on the trail out here. We have great trail systems in Colorado, and I talk to myself as I'm out there. So everybody knows that, well, my husband finally convinced me that I had to wear Bluetooth because I do look like a crazy woman, because I just, you have conversations with them, but once a story settles, then it's just nonstop chatter. And I don't know about you, but when, so how I first start off with the book is it's like a movie unfolding in my head, and it just keeps running. And then once the characters start talking to me, then I can have conversations with them. But I don't actually get amusing until I do 7 edits before I turn in a book to my editing team. And then, I'm going to end up writing most of that book over again, right? But I don't actually start getting amusing until about edit number 5. And that's when everything really starts to click. And I cut out a lot, because I'm you can tell by how big the book is. I'm a very wordy author. Like, I always say, like, why use one word when I can use 90? So I have to cut that. But like with humor, it's all about the fast. It has to be a witty banner. And so, like number 5, I can start cutting things, shorten up sentences so that it just goes so fast, and then, and I like the unique characters. I know I base a lot of my stories on people I know. So they are, and I never tell them which one I'm inspired by, because you never know how people take that, right? But yeah, they talk to me all the time.
That is so awesome. I love it. And you mentioned humor, which is super fun. And if people have read your books before, they will, the humor is definitely there. Like when one of the characters, oh my goodness, I forgot her name, shows up and she looks like she's a birthday cake with these layers and layers of fabric on. It's just the cutest thing how you're able to describe them, and then the situations they get themselves into. It's just like you said, it plays like a picture in your mind, because you're like, oh my goodness, I wish I could see this on the big screen, how this is playing out. So where did you realize, like you talked about writing for all these different genres and trying these things, when did that humor come in, or was that part of like every different type of manuscript that you wrote?
That would be part of every manuscript. I think I'm just a little weird. And a lot of things that happen in those books, they are inspired from real life, because odd things just happen to me all the time. Just the other day, I was walking the dog. I had a poop bag in this hand, and I was holding the leash in this hand, and my phone rang. And it was an important call. So, of course, I get it with the hand with the leash, because I didn't want the poop bag anywhere near my face. And it would have been fine. I would have been perfectly fine. I had those earphones that are really big, so people say that I sound like a tin can. So I pushed those back. So I'm holding the phone up like this, and the leash is right there. Remy, my dog, decides to stop. She slowed her pace a little bit. What's a retractable leash? So it sucks my hair up into the leash, and I'm stuck like that, and I can't get it out. And I laughed the whole way home. People might think I'm a crazy woman, but I'm like, who does that happen to? Who gets their hair stuck in a retractable leash? So, yes, so things just, there's a scene in the book that follows that. So the character who looked like a cake, yes. Adelaide Devine.
Yes, that's her name. Yes, I love it.
Yes, Adelaide Devine. So the next book opens up, and she has walked across the receiving room of an intimate dinner party with the hem of her skirt tucked into her bustle, giving the guest an unfettered view of her drawers. Well, that was inspired by real life, and I've been dying to put that in somewhere, because when I worked in a department store one time, I had gone out on the floor, and I love to run the cash register. It's like a thing with me. I love doing that. So I would go out onto the floor, and just in whatever department, I would help people. Well, this one day, Trisha, I'm like in the men's department, and none of the men will look me in the eye, right? And they're just acting weird, and they couldn't get out of there fast enough. So all of a sudden, this woman comes up. Her name was Donna. She's a very good customer. And I said, Donna, come here. I have a tip for you. We're getting this new DKNY line in. I can set up a private appointment, right? So she goes, Jen, I got a tip for you. She's like, your skirt is tucked into the top of your pantyhose.
No way.
So I'd been all over the department store. None of the guys would tell me. And I had Minnie Mouse panties on.
Of course, you had Minnie Mouse panties.
Yes. So I've been dying to add that into a book. So to spark a match, that incident from my life actually, to a certain extent, gets put into a book.
That is awesome. Yeah, I could just see. I mean, I think, yeah, all these fun things that are happening in your life that in the moment might not be too fun to go through. It's so cool how you're able to put them in your book. And so I'm dying to know, like, how did you get the idea for this assistant matchmaker and the most eligible bachelor of the season? How did you come together with that idea that came into this book?
That book. So I've been wanting to do a matchmaker series for years. I just couldn't find an angle to make it fresh, to have something different, and so just one day it was like, that would be hilarious if a woman who was hired as a paid companion all of a sudden finds herself thrust into the role of assistant matchmaker, because as a paid companion, you might travel to some of the society events with whoever your employer is, but you're mostly going to be on the sidelines. You're not really conversing with any of the guest or society members. But if you are an assistant matchmaker, all of a sudden you're just thrust into the New York 400. And and of course, Gwendolyn is kind of equipped to do that, but I won't give anything away. She's kind of equipped to handle that situation. But I just thought it would be just hilarious. And then to have like Mrs. Parker, she's out of commission because she, broke her leg. And
so she has to be wheeled around everywhere.
Yes, she does. And that was actually inspired by someone I know who broke their leg. They were in a 3-legged race at a family reunion with their son, and they broke their leg, and the son didn't realize and kept dragging them along.
When I put that, I'm like, oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, so that happens. But so that's how I came up with that. And then I thought, I thought a different angle would be, because matchmaking is always just between the mamas, and then the matchmaker. And it's not like broadcast around that there's matchmakers. They don't want the gentleman to know that, because, they don't want to find out everything they can about gentlemen and then have their client presented in the best light possible. Like if they love fishing, like all of a sudden the hero, the matchmaking person she loves fishing and she can speak, with all these likes that the future groom is going to want. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting if all of a sudden we would have the gentleman enter the mix, and they'd be, he would have, Mrs. Parker would be his matchmaker. Thus, Gwendolyn turns into his matchmaker. And it just like the whole story just took off from there.
That is so fun. And he also has children. And I don't want to give too much away, but I think that's pretty soon when we find out that he has children. So then all the women are like, oh, here, let me just seem so motherly. And you're like, you obviously have not been around children if you think that these things are going to be helping the situation. And I love from his point of view that all the things that they were doing to kind of, get the children to like them. He's like, this has just made my day even more horrible. And then how the kid, it's fun to see the thread of the children again woven in to everything that's happening. So again, some of those scenes you're like, oh, I could totally picture this as a mom of 10 kids. This would not be a good situation right now.
Right? Yes. But and I love writing children too. They're just it just adds a different layer to a story when you and they're not perfect children, and but there's always reasons why children are acting out, and then you can explore that, and and I like Gwendolyn's no nonsense approach, and yes. But children are some of my favorites to write. That and animals. I love writing animals too.
Yeah, and what I loved about Gwendolyn is she's so just says what she thinks. Because again, she's not trying to impress anybody. She's just gonna say what she thinks, and which I think some of the stuff that comes out of her mouth is funny, but she's just being serious about the situation, and she's such a likable character. She's super fun. So it's an awesome journey going through this book. seeing the matches trying to be made that are really going far, seeing the humor in it. You know, the kids are woven in and Mrs. Parker's woven in, and such a wide cast of characters. So you mentioned this is book 20. So
Yeah.
people that love humor and, you know, this fun, quirky things that happen. Yes, it's historical, but this is definitely not like a historical novel that you're going to be like, oh, this is going to put me to sleep. It's historical. It's fun and lively and humorous and all those types of things. So super fun, and it's going to be releasing soon. So, and I saw the audiobook is also going to be releasing soon. So if you'd like to listen to audiobooks, I bet this is going to be a fun one to listen to. Have you listened to the audiobook at all?
You know, I can listen to snippets of audiobooks, but they actually listen to my own work freaks me out. Like,
really?
It does. Once I get through that last stage where you do the design pages, I never look at the book again. So like when a book comes out, I had to go back I have to skip.
Yeah, you're like, what are the characters' names?
What are their names? I think the last series I was doing, the Bleecker Street Inquiry Agency, I was, and you never know what's going to happen when you have me live, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, and the hero, and my mind went completely blank. So luckily I had a book. So I'm trying to be really discreet. I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't see it. I'm reading the back blur, but then I'm like, oh yes. And of course, I have no idea what that hero's name is now.
By the way, if you forgot, it's Walter.
Walter, yes. I do remember. I have done some publicity things lately, so I do know it's Gwendolyn and Walter. And but yeah.
The one part that cracked me up is when one of the ones that went to meet the match was talking about his daughter, and she was saying all the wrong names, and he's like, it's Priscilla, and she's like, are you sure? He's like, I think from the day she was born, I have been calling her Priscilla. So it's just
Priscilla.
It's just those cute little things that are in there that I could, it's funny. And all the women around. I have 7 daughters, so all the different personalities. I'm like, I could totally see some of my daughters and some of these characters and some of their personalities. So that is fun. Okay, you mentioned that we're going to have more books in this series. So this is book 1. How many more books and who's coming up in future
So I normally do three book series now. At the very beginning, my very first series was 4 books and a novella. And I'm telling you, because again, I forget the characters. So by the time I got to book 4, I was like, I'm never doing this again. So I'll do 3. So there's 3. So the next book is To Spark a Match. I just got the cover for that, final cover for that one. It's super cute. I'll be sharing that on my Jen Turano author Facebook page or Instagram. I tried to share it with my street team yesterday, and for some reason I had a wrong file, like the print file. So it looked perfectly fine, Trisha. When I was doing the post, and oh hey ladies, here you get the sneak peek of this before I release it to the public. And I hit the post button, and so Adelaide Devine, it's her story.
Yeah.
And they have her dressed in this beautiful emerald green gown. And the background is faded, but it's Delmonico's, which is where an important scene is for Adelaide. All of a sudden, it's no longer emerald green. It's Dayglow green. And for a minute, I'm like, like, what happened? I don't remember it being that color, because I really didn't pay that much attention, right? And then her face got like all red, and so I was like, hold on, ladies, I think something's wrong. So I thought maybe I had a filter on my Facebook, and I'm like, I don't have I would not know how to do that. So, but I went and I looked, and I tried it on other platforms. So if anybody was on my social media yesterday, I'm so sorry, because 1 minute there would be a picture, and then it would just disappear. And then like 5 seconds later, I'd put another one in. But I finally got the right file, so I'll be sharing that. But yeah, the second book is To Spark a Match.
Okay.
A Match in the Making. This one, I actually came up with the title. And why that is a big deal is because it's only the second title I've ever come up with, because I'm horrible at it. I came up with Gentleman of Her Dreams, which was my first release ever. It's a free novella that introduces my writing before Change of Fortune came out. So I came up with this, A Match in the Making. The second book is super cute too, To Spark a Match. Somebody on my street team came up with that one. And then the third book that I'm working on. So the second book is Adelaide Devine's story.
I'm so glad she gets her own book.
She does get her own book. And she, yes, it is. The only thing I have left to do on that, I'm waiting for the copy line edits on that. And then after that, the galleys. And then I'll have design pages and I'll be done. And so now I'm doing the first draft of the third book, which is tentatively titled To Meet Her Match. Ooh. And that's going to be Camilla Pierpont's book. And she was just mentioned in the first book. You never really saw her on screen.
I'm trying to, that's where my mind is like, let me think.
She was the one, she was right at the beginning of the book. They mentioned her. She was Mrs. Parker's nemesis because she is a matchmaker as well. And she believes in making only love matches because she got her heart broken when she was almost 17.
That, yeah.
Yes, it was broken by a scoundrel, the Earl of Shrewsbury. Mm-hmm. And she
is the Earl going to come back in this book?
Well, okay, so here's the thing so far. So so Adelaide is the second book. So now you have Camilla, and so she backed off from, she didn't like the antics of the ladies in Newport that summer.
I mean, they're dangerous. I mean, there was like black eyes and all kinds.
Yes, they were. They were like your early Mean Girl clique, right? And so she stepped back from matchmaking, and also she stepped back because one of the matches she made, the last match that she actually made, she was convinced that this young lady loved this aristocrat that she had, wanted to get. Well, no, she was more interested in the title. She loved the title. So Camilla's disillusioned with matchmaking in general, and she's not going to do it. So, but she's bored. So that's why in the second book, Camilla comes into the second book more. She takes Adelaide in hand. So the whole premise of the second book, To Spark a Match, is Adelaide ends up doing a favor for Gideon Abbott, who was mentioned as Walter's friend in this book. And Gideon has a very mysterious career. And so Adelaide stumbles into this situation where, like, Gideon really needs some assistance. And he wasn't expecting to have assistance from Adelaide, but she's just prepared from the receiving room because, of the bustle incident and the drawer incident. And so she helps him out of a tricky situation. And so, but in the process, she has another society snafu. So now society is planning on giving her the cut direct. They're going to give her the boot out of society, but she's from a Knickerbocker family, but they don't care.
Is her mom in the book? Is her mom in the book?
Yes, her mom. Phyllis is in the book too. And so Gideon finds out that obviously Adelaide is going to be booted from society, so he wants to do her a favor. So he is really good friends with Camilla. So that's how I bring Camilla into the story. And he convinces her that she needs to, because she's bored, she suffers from boredom. She's the only daughter of a very, very wealthy family, and now she's refusing to get married after having her heart broken. So she agrees to take Adelaide in hand. And while Gideon wanted to have her turn Adelaide into a diamond of the first water, they come up with something else. And so it just takes off from there. So then it'll come into, the third book opens up with Camilla. Again, she's never wants to marry, but she comes into contact. The book opens up, she's actually being chased by people who are trying to kill her as she's riding her horse.
Oh, wow.
And this man enters the scene. So far, I think his name is Owen. I thought it was going to be Owen Hostetler because he's from West Virginia. There's all these Hostetlers in West Virginia. No, I think he's going to be Owen Chesterfield now. He just told me that earlier. So he
did not like that name choice that you picked for him.
No, he hated his first name. That was that went on for like a whole month. When I first, I think I had him as an Emerson. I had him as, I don't know, an Augustus. I mean, I tried all these names and none of them, and I can tell they don't work, Trisha, because it's like I'm trying to write through mud. I just can't move forward. And then it's like, well, he doesn't like his name. So I went back and changed it. But yeah, so yeah, there'll be the Earl does come back.
Okay.
And so he married another woman because Camilla's father said when he went to ask for her hand, he saw the Earl for exactly what he was, a scoundrel and a fortune hunter.
This is awesome.
So Camilla said it was the first time she ever like rebelled because she's the consummate proper lady. And so she said, she told her parents she would never get married. She doesn't care if their line's gonna, well, of course she wouldn't have the last name, but the whole bloodline is just gonna die with her. She doesn't care. So because the Earl of Shrewsbury, as soon as he found out that Camilla's father wasn't going to give them the dowry, right? He just happened to, so he tells Camilla, instead of being truthful, that, your fortune is the most appealing thing about you. He's so sorry. Behind his back, his mother had arranged a marriage for him, and the announcement was already being sent off to the New York Herald.
No.
So he marries somebody else, and he goes off to England. Well, now, 8 years later, he's coming back.
Okay.
Why? Because that wife might be dead under suspicious circumstances.
Oh, I could tell you have so much fun with these books, with these characters. I love how you're like, okay, you don't like your name. We're just gonna keep working on this until you like your name. And it's they come alive in your mind, obviously. And it's so fun that as these books go along, I mean, so this is just releasing. We're gonna have to wait a while to get to Camilla's story, but I love that they're there and they're having all these situations that are happening, and that we could look forward to that. There's books coming that we could be looking forward to.
Thank you.
Yeah, so fun, and I love how you're like, well, suspicious circumstances around this because I can just picture the rumors of the people just chattering about these circumstances that are happening around this, and yeah.
Yes, well, I had to have something to compel Camilla to accept Owen's proposition and go to Wheeling, West Virginia, because there has to be, because first she said no, she wasn't going. So yes, so this book releases February 21st. Yeah. The other one, so it's right now I'm doing a book every 9 months. I was doing one every 6 months, and then COVID came along, and it's really tough. It was really tough for me to write comedy during COVID. And I have a she shed normally that I work in. This is not my she shed. It's in the backyard. Yeah. It's snowed, so I can't get down there. But that's where I like to go, and I can talk to myself. And then I just put together something for a new proposal for a new series, but that is. Okay. You can't tell us about that yet, but there's going to be lots of fun stuff. And if Jen is new to you and you haven't read her stuff before, this is book 20. So there's a lot you can go back and you can enjoy. And again, and I love the cover of this is gorgeous. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. It's so good. So I'm excited to find the next one in the green dress and see what that looks like. The green dress has to be prettier than the one that she showed up in this book. Because that didn't sound too appealing. Well, yeah, no, this one is nice. Well, because Camilla again has taken her in hand, so yes, it is much nicer. Gonna make sure she's not looking like a birthday cake with all those tears and ruffles and everything. Exactly. I think I had somebody else in. Gosh, I can't remember what book it was. It might have been A Talent for Trouble, or her name was Felicia. I don't remember what book it was, but she was a horrible dresser as well. Yeah. So yes. Yeah, your fashion degree is coming into use in these books. Who knew those historical costume classes would come in so handy? Right? I know. I love that so much. The cake and the bustle was larger than any that they had ever seen on the back of that wedding dress cake, because she was slender. And they heard that Walter likes curvy women, so her mom was trying to help her out with that. Yes, by making her looking more voluptuous. Yeah. It didn't work out very well. It didn't work out very well. Awesome. Okay, so again, the book is A Match in the Making. Go check it out. So fun if you like historical and humor and quirky, and you're never going to guess what happens. I mean, there's no way you can ever guess what happens in these books, which is fun to just be
going along and have to see what happens. Okay, so one question I love to ask at the end are what are some Christian fiction books that you've enjoyed?
So one of my favorite authors is Carla Lariano. I absolutely love her books. 5 Days in the Sky was amazing. I just read an ARC of hers, and Heartbreak. Oh, the name it's coming out in April,
Okay.
but it was
You
wonderful.
be watching. You be watching.
And I'm currently reading Kimberly Duffy's The Weight of Air, which
Ooh.
you know what? It's beautiful writing, absolutely beautiful. I'm only about 3 chapters in, but I love it. So that is what I'm reading.
Awesome. Okay, and where can readers go? Of course, they're going to go check out the books, but where can they go to connect with you or to find out more information about all your books?
Well, my website is just jenturano.com. Jen Turano author on Facebook. And then Instagram is just Jen Turano author as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I only recently got on Instagram. I don't really understand it, but I didn't know that they had a place for like other messages.
Oh, yeah.
I just found that. So sorry if you've sent me a message
So
recently.
yeah,
I didn't get it.
she's not trying to ignore you.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I'm old.
You do not look old at all.
I am old. So
You're so cute. Well, thank you, Jen, so much for being here. I have loved getting to know you, getting to know your books, and this has been so fun. So thank you.
thank you so much, Trisha. This again, one of my favorite sites ever. Avid readers. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. And it was nice to finally meet you. I mean, we've been in the business forever, but we just have not crossed paths. So
Hopefully at a conference soon or something, we'll be able to connect.
yes, we shall have coffee or something.
Yes, and you can judge my fashion when I show up. All right. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.